Hello, I'm Nick. I do the watch-alongs on this channel. You might not think I'm very pleased about that by the tone of my voice because, like a lot of you, I'm just miffed, which is putting it politely, about what we've just seen. And this video is about why West Ham fans are well within their rights to be calling for a new manager after this one has not had much time, which is the whole time thing. Because it's not about this game. It's not about the Chelsea game. It's not about losing to Chelsea. Honestly, I don't really care about losing to Chelsea as much as I thought I would. I didn't want to lose to Chelsea, but I don't know why. I don't really care as much these days. I think it's because their fans are like a different generation to me. They're very young. So perhaps I just think they have like more problems in their life than supporting Chelsea Football Club. I don't really mind about losing that. It's just the way we lost that is concerning, worrying. Lopetegui in his post-game stuff after today said, you know, we can't give away soft goals. That is true. So if you can't give away soft goals, why do you tell your central defensive midfielder no one in that position is fast? That's why they're in that position. They have other qualities and attributes. Why did you have him man-marking their pacey striker? Why did you tell the centre-backs to split? Why did you just tell the full-backs to go gung-ho? And why do you keep picking Mavropanos? Why have you not seen that in this calendar year he's made several massive defensive errors? And I was flicking through the comments of Gio's video today, and this one, Munster Irons. Mavropanos' biggest weaknesses are that he can't tackle, too slow, no football brain, can't pass, thinks it's clever to defend with his arms behind his back, which means he can't move. In general, he's a liability. So I laughed when I read that because you don't have to have been watching the game of football, let alone West Ham United Football Club, to know this. This is not new information. It's not surprising anyone. We see this regularly, and we have Jean-Claire Todibo, who lit up the international scene with the French under-21s on the bench. He can't get a game. The only thing we heard today that maybe he was a bit unfit, which just doesn't make sense in any way, shape or form. So it isn't only about this game. There's a game-by-game basis. Even if you want to be sane about it, which I'm trying to be all the time, and not just knee-jerk and reaction, then you think there's the time factor. If you like have an internal dialogue in your head, which is just a way that I'm just avoiding saying that I talk to myself, then part of you says, you know, you just can't get rid of the new manager now. Can't be done. Shouldn't be done. You always have to give them time. And then the other part of my head says, no, but he's clearly not very good and he gets the basics wrong. Why would you not just get rid of him now? And the other part of my head has no answer to that question. I just don't really know why you'd keep him, other than there's just this unwritten rule. You got to give him time. You got to give him more time. I just think that the people who are definitely at the J-Lo out stage now, and the people, the give him timers, I think they're rapidly going to catch up to the get him outers very, very soon. Because game by game, the Villa game, we didn't get a new manager bounce. I mean, new manager flop would be the obvious one. That game was a bit weird and we were underwhelming, but it was like, okay, he doesn't have a full squad. There are other players coming back and there are other players getting up to fitness. Fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. City game, you think, oh, it's City, so they only lose like 3 games a year anyway, probably not going to get much against them. Yet Mavropanos, for City's third goal, still went from his high defensive line, running out for no reason to try and get the ball. It wasn't even a 50-50, the odds were against him, which is how Chelsea got their third today. He didn't need to do that, and it cost us a third goal when we were actually playing okay. The Palace game, we were terrible in the first half. That was all wrong. We got a bit lucky because Eze hit the crossbar and should have scored. Areola saved, and then we kind of lucked our way through the second half of that game. Bournemouth, everyone's forgotten about the Bournemouth game in the Carabao Cup. That was just unwatchable. And at that point, it was still like, oh, give him time, players coming back, players getting up to fitness, all of this nonsense. Fulham sets up with Antonio and Souček in the starting lineup, brings on Paqueta and Somerville at half-time. Somerville plays very, very well in the second half. Why did Lopetegui previously think that Somerville playing very well on the wing, why is that bad? Why is that something he did not want to happen in the first half? It doesn't make sense. He's like he's overthinking. It's like he's so arrogant and egotistical, which some managers have to be to a degree if they're good, that he has to just make it look as though he's overthought everything and he's done this clever thing instead of just playing the best lineup. And then today, you kind of get the lineup that you want. You have a strange gut feel that Mavropanos is still there after the mistakes he's been making. And then you insist on having the defensive tactics that you do when Chelsea are only going to play one way. So you put all that together and you add in the fact that you can't really think of a reason why we need to give him time, and it's just concerning. And then today got even worse. He just made panic subs. The crowd in the stadium booed when Somerville goes off. Like, our players didn't play badly. Some of them not even had good games. Some had very good games, like Kudus, Somerville. I thought Bowen did well. I thought he absolutely put his all into it. Paqueta wasn't bad. He's a bit annoying in the first half. Alvarez didn't have a bad game. He's just not as fast as Nicholas Jackson. I think everyone knew that. But yeah, Lopetegui told him to mark him. And then he takes Somerville off. He puts Antonio on, not Ings, who got him out of jail against Fulham. Doesn't give Todibo any game time. Throws on Andy Irving after ignoring him for the season. I don't think that was his game plan. And just what else is there? Like when people say, oh, it's not the manager's fault, or our players not really that good, or this kind of thing. I think why West Ham fans are in their right is because we watch a lot of football and we watch our team obviously more than Lopetegui ever has done in the past. And our players, I mean, Harry Kane goes off for England. Bowen, Lee Carsley says yes. Jared Bowen will now come on and play centre forward for England. Kudus, no one can say Kudus isn't amazing. He could play for City. He could play for anyone. Somerville, Championship Player of the Year last year, and in the effectively 245 minutes roughly he's been given, clearly is very, very good. Paqueta is picked as the best male in the country of Brazil, the footballing nation of Brazil. Everyone in that country thinks that Paqueta is their number 10. So that's up to the head coach. You can't just say, oh, well, he should be technically amazing and also have all of the mentality. You can't just cherry pick qualities you want in another person. It's up to the manager to ensure he gets the best out of Lucas Paqueta. Alvarez is a good player. Rodriguez, I think he's had good games. I just think he was given too much to do. Emerson, he's okay. You know, he's good enough. Wan-Bissaka, I don't know why he's had such a terrible game. But no one's out there saying he's not a good player. Kilman actually had a decent game apart from just being nowhere for the second goal. And then Areola, he's in the French team. So you've got players where you expect you're not just going to win every game. It's like I saw one comment saying, oh, we've lost against City and Chelsea and they'll be top 6 and we've got 4 points against Fulham and Palace. But with the players that we have, and that just... It's not like reputation or stature, it's just clearly they're very good players, as I've just explained. So you put them on the pitch and then you're arrogant enough to not realise that you just give the other team goals on a plate. So, I mean, the penalty, I haven't even mentioned the penalty because this is not what this video is about. The penalty is nonsense. Because by the new rules, by the official rules of the Premier League, in writing, so fully legal and just the decisions that they've made, is that you are allowed as a defender to make a fleeting pull on the opposing attacking player. So it's not like, oh, you're only a West Ham fan, you wanted the penalty, if that was against you, you'd be arguing otherwise. It's not that. If you take all of that away and just see that the attacking player is running through to goal to collect a pass in the box, and the defender does have hold of his there and then pulls him back a bit and the player falls over. Like, all of that sequence of events is not opinion, that is what happened. But what they said is he wasn't holding onto his arm for long enough for that to be a penalty or a foul in any way. So if you are a Premier League defender, You are allowed, as long as it's fleeting, you're allowed a fleeting pull, not sustained. If you hold on for 5-6 seconds, that's a penalty. Fleeting, that's not a penalty in the Premier League. So if you want to carry that through to grassroots Sunday league, you're coaching kids, your kids play football, you just teach them, you're a defender, you're allowed a fleeting one now, because the Premier League have decided that. But it's not even about that. I don't even care. Like, if you want Lopetegui to stay, I mean, the other thing is, probably the worst thing about all of this is people say, oh, well, you shouldn't have wanted David Moyes to go. It's not a question. Football clubs change their managers all the time. And David Moyes had a bad season. We lost 5-0, 5-0, 6-0, 2-2 at home, point rescued by Danny Ings against Burnley. Just games against squads with players just definitely not as good as ours. And it was just lackluster, and thank him for everything he's done, but it was time for him to go, so now we need a new manager. It's not like West Ham must have David Moyes or someone else. You can say thank you David Moyes, he's gone, and then you choose who to get. So that's not even part of the conversation. But what is West Ham fans not fuming at the game. We are fuming just because it's annoying. Like, you understand when people in the world can have different intelligence levels, it's not a problem. If you have a footballer who's a bit thick, it's fine. It's not a problem. But Mavropanos doesn't seem to have awareness of his own limitations. Okay, that's just who he is. That's why the head coach manager, it's their job to know his limitations and either coach him in some way or play relevant to them. Not just think, oh, I'm Julen Lopetegui, I can do what I want because, I interview very well and I have this like deep brooding charisma. It doesn't translate itself to the football pitch, right? You have to tell people where to stand and run in efficient ways. So if the West Ham fan wants Lopetegui out, it's not knee-jerk. It's just looking and saying he hasn't shown anything. Like, what's the opposing fan view? Or for a neutral or a football analyst, what's the opposing view? Why would you keep him? We don't have any emotional bond to him. He was just picked because we did need to say thank you and goodbye to David Moyes. But what does he bring? What quality have you seen in these 6 or however many games it is that would... What's the opposing argument? See what I'm saying? I just can't think of any. I can't think of any good reason. And just, if there was a reason to get rid of him, it would just be, maybe it would be mildly humorous. Maybe it would just be something to, get excited about. Maybe something weird and comic book could happen. Maybe Mark Noble would do a Trevor Brooking and just be interim manager for a few games. I don't really know. But at the moment, I'd take anything other than just be frustrated that he's not getting just the basics right. Good news is, next game, we're away to Anfield, so that's fantastic.